Hello, I'm Wendy. It's loose watercolour today, a painting demonstration of a snowy landscape with a castle using very loose brushstroke techniques. I often hear people say that they paint too tightly and want to loosen up. I'm one of them, and if you are too, I hope this video will help. We have to be brave enough not to render everything in detail, especially in the background. Our eyes don't see all that detail in the distant trees, and it's the impression of them that we're after. Here's a template of the drawing I used. It can be downloaded from my website, and there's a link below in the description box. I have been asked if I work from photographs, and I would say generally yes, although I do usually work from more than one. For this painting, the viewpoint of the landscape and castle was taken from a summer photograph of mine. The hedgerow in front, I used ideas from this photograph and some similar ones. And for the castle itself with the snow on there, this was the reference I used. And finally, it's photographs like these of mine which have helped me with depicting trees in the distance. So for this picture then, it's a bit of a combination of using photographs and my imagination. I started by mixing a sky wash of cobalt blue, knocked back with a little bit of burnt sienna, and then after wetting the sky area, I dropped this colour randomly to achieve a soft wetting to wet sky. Paint very carefully around the structure of the castle. The castle will be staying mainly a light tone, so make sure there's some darker tones of the cobalt blue behind it. I mixed cobalt blue with the burnt sienna to produce a sort of neutral grey to describe the structure of the castle. I shall add more detail to it later on. I used a very dilute mix of the colours to suggest a shadow area, and a stronger mix using a rigger to suggest the form of the rocky outcrop there. I painted the distant trees with a mix of the cobalt and burnt sienna again, but this time adding a little touch of light red. I used the side of the brush to produce these marks to stand for the trees. I was very careful to paint around the top of that tree that originates in the hedgerow, so that when the painting is finished it will appear that it's overlapping those trees in the distance. I'm trying to vary the colour of these trees, and in some places I'm just putting a bit of clear water just to soften some of the edges. There were a few small trees growing on the rocky outcrop. And then just a few strokes to suggest the trees on the very distant hill. And again I kept the brush strokes very soft. With just a little more light red in the mix to warm it up, I'm painting the bushes in the middle distance hedgerows. As I work forwards, I add a little bit more of the light red to the mix, and as you can see as I'm painting here, I'm painting around some of those trees that are coming from the hedgerow in the very front. And now working forwards in the picture, we're doing the foreground, and I've got some colours ready for these foreground trees in the hedgerow and for the bushes. I've got the same three mixes. We've got the burnt sienna, the cobalt, and I've introduced a little bit of light red here and there just to ring the changes a little bit. I'm using, excuse the hair there, looks like I need a haircut, but I'm locked down, that's my excuse. What was I saying? Yes, I'm using the dry brush technique here on these foreground trees. I have done a couple of videos before describing this technique, and I'll put the links in the description box below for you. I used a progressively stronger tone of the three colours as I worked on the hedgerow, and I tried to vary the brush marks, some of them being more feathery and other areas being filled in. I didn't want to get too fussy with the foreground, but I did want to show a few bits of soil, grass, whatever was there showing through the snow, just for a little bit more interest. It does make a big difference to watercolours once the pencil lines are removed. Just try and remember not to press on too hard with the pencil in your initial drawing. And a very useful tip when you're painting snow in watercolour is to have some designer gouache to hand. Daler Rowney make it, and also Winsor and Newton. It's a lot more opaque than the watercolour white, and you can use it for touching up areas. And time to see how things are progressing by just putting a mount around the painting. You can see here from this image that I've actually added a little bit more shadow on the left hand side of the castle. And now it's the stage for putting in the trunks and the thin branches on these foreground trees. I'm using a rigger, and I'm using a thick mix of the cobalt blue and the burnt sienna. Keep the mix on the warm side so you don't get the trunks and the branches looking too blue and too cold. I can never resist putting a little bit of fencing in. You can use the dark mix to put some dark fence posts in the light areas, and then I use the opaque white to put some little white fence posts in the dark areas. Finally, a few shadows going along the foreground. I use the cobalt with just a touch of the burnt sienna in here, some hard edges and some soft edges. I put a touch of the same colour in the middle distance. So there we are. That's my interpretation of a snowy landscape with a castle. The castle, by the way, is called Carreg-Cennen Castle, and I'll give you a link in the description below if you want to find out more about it. I'm very lucky living where I do. I've got 3 castles within about a couple of miles of each other, so you never know, you might be seeing some more snowy castles in the near future. Bye for now, be brave and try and paint loosely. See you again soon.